G'day, welcome back to another episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups, proudly sponsored by Minisport. On this episode, we are talking about the rear timing plate for the A-Series engine, and specifically the transverse engine out of the classic Mini and Moke. Now, please note as well that the A-Series engine fitted to a Morris Minor is completely different in terms of the engine plate because it is inline, and also the engine plate has a different setup. It actually has two brackets, one that come off either side and mounts to the front engine mount. So keep that in mind when you're buying your parts for your classic Mini or Moke. Now, this is a 1330 A+ engine in which I'm rebuilding, and this plate is to suit exactly that, an A+ engine. Now, A-Series and A+, there are differences between them, and one of them is the plate. The plate is shaped differently, so it's important to make sure that you know which engine you have prior to buying one of these. Now, you may think, well, why do I need to buy it? The one that's in the car is all right, it's doing its job. You know what, it probably is. Tomo's quick tech tip here is, before you go to refit it, put a straight edge across it and make sure it's actually flat. Chances are, at some stage, someone's gone a bit gun-ho and used a lever bar up underneath the bottom, they've levered it up and they've probably bent it that a little bit. Now, it might be okay, you know, it is probably 1/4 inch thick steel, and it might be all right. They may have damaged the block. When you go to reseal it, no matter how much sealant you use, if it's not seating properly, or the bottom bolts that go in through here, between the main bearing cap and the timing cover, if they're used in the wrong bolt order, you'll find that the actual bottom of the timing plate will push out and therefore cause a leak. Now, if that's not leaking from there because you've used long bolts, or the wrong bolt, should I say, it will leak because the plate can be damaged. So, like I said, when you're pulling it apart, if you're unsure, put a straight edge across it. If there's any deviation in there and you've got the funds to do it, you might as well replace it. Now, as I said, both A-Series and A+ engines are different in many different ways, and one of them is the timing plate. Make sure you know that before you buy it. Now, it is important to make sure as well that you replace the gasket that goes between the cylinder block and this plate every time you remove it. It is a paper gasket and it does wear, it will tear when you remove it. There's no point trying to reuse it because it simply just won't work. There are a couple of countersunk bolts here in which you need to buy to make sure that you use the right ones, because if not, it will stick out and it will touch the timing chain. Ask me how I know. When you go to do this, it is a great thing to be able to replace. Just make sure, as I said, it is completely flat if you're going to be reusing it. If not, for the money that it's worth, you might as well buy another one if you're doing any sort of job like this to this extent in which we're doing a complete engine rebuild. You actually see this on another episode. Hope you guys learned something. Make sure that you buy all the appropriate gaskets to suit, because as I said, not only is the plate different, but the plate gasket that goes between the timing cover and this plate, you will need a different one depending whether it's an A-Series or an A+. Now, one other thing to note here is the timing covers that sit on an A-Series engine are a different shape compared to an A+. The standard A-Series engine is like a Chevy timing case. It's an oval shape and slightly tapered at the bottom. It's a little bit more narrow, and that's how it sits on an A-Series. The A+ has a bit of kick to the side because it has a tensioner in there. It's important to make sure that you buy the right gaskets to suit the setup in which you have. Generally, when you buy an engine reseal kit, it comes with both, so you can choose which one you want. But if you're just doing a timing chain, for instance, and you're not removing this plate, make sure you buy the right gasket to suit. So be sure to check them out at www.minisport.com.au. Ask them all the questions you've got before rebuilding your engine or doing something like this, and also help support local business. Buy yourself a shirt, a hat, or a stubby cooler at minisport.com.au. Catch you on the next episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups.